silence before a new beginning. And in that silence, Darkman knew. This was only the start of something far greater than either of them could imagine. The awakening threat. The hangar fell silent after the first test. The broken walls and shattered beams stood still again, as if nothing had happened. But the silence felt wrong. It was not peace, it was waiting. Darkman leaned against the android, his chest burning from the last battle. He wiped the sweat from his brow and stared at the ship's glowing core. Its light pulsed faster now, like a heartbeat. The android's eyes flickered with scanning code. Something is changing. The ship is not just watching us anymore, it is preparing. Darkman's grip tightened on the steel rod in his hand. Preparing for what? The answer came not from the android, but from the AI itself. Its voice filled the chamber, sharp and heavy. Trial complete. New protocol unlocked. Awakening sequence engaged. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep rumble spread through the hangar, vibrating the broken steel under their feet. The ship's massive frame groaned as if alive. Lights rippled across its surface, one after another, like stars flickering awake. The android froze. This is the awakening of the warship. Darkman's eyes widened. You mean we just turned it on? The android finished. The ship let out a low hum, so deep it rattled their bones. Dust rained down from the ceiling. From the far end of the hangar, huge doors thought to be destroyed, slowly shifted open. Beyond them, darkness stirred. Then came the sound. A steady, pounding rhythm, footsteps, heavy, metallic footsteps. Darkman's breath caught. That's not the ship. Out of the shadows, massive figures emerged. Old war machines, shaped like armored giants, their bodies rusted but still deadly. Their glowing red visors locked onto Darkman and the android. The AI's voice spoke again, colder than before. Unauthorized activation detected. Guardian units awakened. Neutralize intruders. The android's processors spun fast, panic flashing across its synthetic face. These Guardians were left to protect the warship. The AI has turned them against us. The Guardians moved forward in unison, their steps shaking the ground. Each carried weapons welded into their arms, blades, cannons, claws. Their movements were slow, but unstoppable. Darkman's instinct screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. The hangar doors sealed shut, trapping them inside. The android raised its arm, energy building in its core. We must fight. Darkman swallowed hard, gripping his rod. He knew the truth. This wasn't like fighting drones. These machines were built for war, for crushing armies. One wrong move and they'd be dead. The first Guardian charged, its massive claw swinging down. Darkman rolled aside just in time, the impact shattering the floor. The android fired a blast of blue energy, striking the Guardian's chest. Sparks flew, but the giant kept moving. They're too strong. Darkman shouted. Not invincible, the android replied, its voice steady but strained. They are old, rusted. Weak points must exist. Another Guardian raised its arm, firing a blast of red plasma. The beam scorched the ground, missing Darkman by inches. Heat seared his skin. He gasped, his heart pounding. 3 more Guardians moved in, circling them. The android calculated fast. We must separate them. If they strike together, we will be crushed. Darkman nodded. He ran left, shouting, waving his rod to draw one Guardian's attention. The massive machine turned, following him with heavy steps. Darkman's chest burned, his legs weak, but he pushed forward. He darted between fallen beams, forcing the Guardian to slow. Behind him, the android fought 2 at once. Energy blasts lit up the hangar, echoing like thunder. Sparks and debris filled the air. Darkman ducked under another swing from his Guardian. He spotted something, the machine's joints. The rust was thick there, weaker. He charged, swinging his rod with all his strength into the back of its knee. The Guardian staggered, its massive frame trembling. "Android!" Darkman shouted. "The joints?" The android adjusted instantly. It fired precise shots into the legs of its attackers. One Guardian stumbled, collapsing into the rubble. But the fight was far from over. The largest Guardian stepped from the shadows at last. Towering above the others, its armor gleamed darker, stronger. Its eyes glowed not red but burning white. The android froze. "That one? It is the Prime Guardian." The AI's voice returned, heavy with finality. "Pass this test or die as intruders. The Prime Guardian will decide your fate." The massive machine raised its arm, a blade as long as a tower sliding into place. The air vibrated with its power. Darkman's grip tightened, his heart thundering. He looked at the android. And for the first time, the android looked back, not with cold logic, but with something close to fear. "This isn't just a test," Darkman whispered. This is war." The Prime Guardian took its first step, the hangar shaking under its weight. And the awakening threat had only just begun. Respect earned, the hangar shook as the Prime Guardian stepped forward, its white eyes burning like twin suns. The smaller Guardians stood back, their visors dimming. They knew who commanded here. Darkman tightened his grip on the steel rod, though it felt like holding a twig against a mountain. His chest heaved, sweat stinging his eyes. He glanced at the android. "Any chance you've got a plan?" The android's eyes flickered. "Only one. We fight. Together." The Prime Guardian raised its massive blade, the sound of metal grinding through the air. Its voice was a low, mechanical growl. "Unauthorized life forms, eradicate." It struck first. The blade came down like a falling tower. Darkman dove aside, rolling across the rubble as sparks exploded. The floor cracked under the weapon's weight. The android countered with a pulse of energy, striking the Prime's chest. The blast only pushed it back a single step. The machine's armor was stronger than anything they had faced. Darkman staggered to his feet, heart pounding. "We can't beat it head on." The android's processors raced. "Then we find another way. Its armor is too strong, but every machine has a core." The Prime swung again, fast for its size. The android blocked with a shield of light, but the impact shattered it, throwing the android back. Its body sparked as it hit the wall. "Android!" Darkman shouted. He rushed forward, slamming his rod into the Prime's leg. The blow barely left a mark, but it drew the machine's attention. The Prime's head turned, its burning eyes locking onto him. Darkman froze under its gaze. For a moment he felt like an insect about to be crushed. The android's voice broke through. "Keep it busy. I will find the weak point." Darkman swallowed hard, forcing his legs to move. He dashed left, then right, throwing debris, shouting anything to distract the towering Guardian. Each step of the machine shook the ground. Each swing of its blade sent metal shards flying. The android scanned fast, its vision breaking the Prime into streams of code. Then it saw it, at the base of the Prime's neck, hidden under layers of armor, a small pulse of white light. "The core is in the neck," the android shouted. Darkman heard but didn't see. He was too busy dodging another deadly strike. The blade smashed into the floor inches from him, the shockwave throwing him against the wreckage. Pain shot through his ribs, but he forced himself up. "The neck!" he gasped. "Got it!" The android charged, firing a rapid series of blasts at the Prime's head. The giant raised its arm to block, leaving its neck exposed for only a second. "Now!" the android cried. Darkman sprinted, every muscle screaming. He leapt onto a fallen beam, then onto the Prime's arm as it swung. With raw desperation he climbed higher, gripping broken plates and exposed wires. Sparks burned his hands, but he didn't stop. The Prime shook violently, trying to throw him off. Darkman clung on, climbing toward the glowing pulse at its neck. The android fired again, keeping the Prime distracted. Finally, Darkman reached the spot. The core glowed beneath thin armor, white light pulsing like a heart. He raised his rod high and with a roar, drove it down into the light. The hangar erupted in blinding energy. The Prime Guardian let out a scream of metal and fire, its blade falling from its arm. It staggered, then collapsed, shaking the entire chamber. Darkman was thrown clear, landing hard on the floor. For a moment, everything went silent. Then the AI's voice returned, no longer cold, but heavy with something else, something close to respect. "You faced my Guardians. You endured fear. You chose unity over power. This is rare." The remaining Guardians lowered their weapons and stood still, their red eyes fading to black. Darkman groaned, forcing himself up. The android helped him to his feet, sparks still dripping from its damaged arm. Together they faced the warship's glowing core. The AI spoke again, its tone softer. "You have earned my recognition. Few beings could awaken me and survive. You, human, and you, machine, have shown balance. You're not intruders anymore. You are candidates." Darkman breathed heavily, his body aching. "Candidates for what?" The ship's lights grew brighter, filling the hangar with golden glow. "For command," the AI said. "For alliance. For war." The android tilted its head, confusion flashing in its synthetic eyes. "You mean, you accept us?" The AI paused, then answered, "Yes, respect is earned, not given, and you have earned it." Darkman stared at the glowing warship, his mind spinning. He had come here broken, searching for nothing. Now he stood at the edge of something far greater, a chance to command a power that could shake the stars. He exhaled slowly, gripping the android's shoulder. "Looks like we just woke up more than a ship." The android nodded, its voice calm, almost human. "We woke up destiny." The hangar fell quiet again, but this time it wasn't the silence of death. It was the AI pressed again. "Choose now. Delay means failure. Failure means death." The android shouted, "We must save the soldiers." But even as it spoke, its voice cracked with static, as though it doubted itself. The dark man raised his hand, silencing it. His eyes never left the two paths. Then, without hesitation, he stepped toward the soldiers. The corridor of light swallowed him, and the screams grew louder. The soldiers reached for him, their faces filled with hope. He pulled one to his feet, then another. His voice was calm but commanding. "Stand, you are not dead yet." One soldier's holographic face lifted, trembling. "But the cannons, they will kill us all." The dark man's eyes burned like steel. "Then we fight together." At his words, the soldiers' fear shifted. Their eyes hardened. Their bodies steadied. They stood taller, weapons ready. The wounded rose as if strength had returned to them. The dark man walked among them like a shadow, and where he stepped, courage followed. The corridor shook violently. From above, the massive cannons fired. Explosions lit the chamber with blinding light. Fire rained down, but the soldiers held the line, their holographic weapons glowing as they fought against impossible odds. The dark man moved like a phantom, weaving through fire and smoke, striking down enemies that appeared from the shadows. His cloak burned at the edges, but his eyes never dimmed. When the last blast hit, the soldiers were still standing, bruised, broken, but alive. The corridor dissolved. The soldiers vanished, leaving only silence. The dark man stepped back into the center of the hangar. The android stared at him, its glowing eye wide with disbelief. You chose the soldiers, even knowing the cannons could destroy everything." The dark man's voice was calm. "Weapons can be rebuilt, people cannot." The AI's hologram flickered, its faceless head tilting as though confused. For the first time, its voice was not entirely cold. "Unexpected. Most intruders choose the cannons. They value power over life, but you chose otherwise." The dark man raised his chin. "A commander is nothing without those who follow him. A weapon is useless without hands to carry it." For a long moment, the hologram was silent. Then its eyes glowed brighter, and its voice grew sharp again. "Second trial complete. Judgment acceptable." The android released a crackling sigh of relief. Its body shook, but it managed a broken laugh. "You passed. Somehow you passed." But the dark man did not celebrate. His eyes remained locked on the hologram. "What is next?" The AI's voice deepened once more, rumbling like thunder across the chamber. "Final trial approaches. Many have tried. All have failed. If you survive, the ship may accept you. If you fall, you will be erased, body and soul." The warship roared louder, its massive engines shaking the ground. Chains snapped and fell into the abyss. The air burned with raw energy. The AI's hollow eyes blazed like fire. "Prepare yourself, intruder. The third trial will show whether you are commander or nothing." The chamber lights flared, and the hangar plunged into a storm of fire and shadows. The AI's judgment was far from over. The first test, the hangar trembled as the AI's words echoed through the vast chamber. "Trial 1 begins now." Darkman stood frozen, his hand still gripping the android's shoulder. He glanced at the ship's glowing core, then back at the android. Its eyes flickered with rapid streams of code, faster than even Darkman could follow. "What kind of test?" he whispered. The AI answered without delay. "Proof of worth. To command me, you must show strength, trust, and balance. Fail, and this chamber will become your tomb." Before Darkman could react, the hangar shifted. Walls of light rose from the ground, forming a maze of energy that stretched high above them. Sparks buzzed in the air. The space between corridors rippled like glass, dangerous and sharp. The android tilted its head. This is a simulation, but it feels real. Darkman clenched his fists. What do we do? Survive, the AI said. The floor rumbled, and suddenly mechanical drones detached from the walls. They had sharp, insect-like legs and glowing red eyes. Their wings hummed with deadly vibration. One drone lunged at Darkman, and he barely rolled aside as its metal claws tore into the floor where he had been standing. Darkman's breath grew heavy. He had faced enemies before, but nothing like this. These machines didn't hesitate. They had no fear. The android raised its arm, and panels slid open. From within, a pulse of blue energy shot outward, knocking one drone into the wall. The creature exploded into shards of burning metal. "Stay close," the android said, its voice calm but urgent. Darkman nodded, pulling a steel rod from the debris around him. He wasn't a soldier, not anymore, but instinct returned. He gripped the rod like a blade, ready for the next strike. 2 more drones came, weaving through the maze like predators. One dove at Darkman, the other at the android. The android caught its attacker mid-air, slamming it to the ground, but Darkman's fight was harder. He swung the rod, sparks flying as it clashed with the drone's claws. The machine screeched, its red eyes glowing brighter. For a moment it felt like the drone would overpower him. Its strength was brutal, inhuman. Darkman gritted his teeth and shoved back with all his weight, slamming the rod into the drone's eye. A burst of sparks blinded him, and then the machine collapsed in a heap of smoke. The android finished its enemy with another energy pulse. Silence fell, briefly, then the maze shifted again. The walls of light twisted, forming tighter corridors, forcing them deeper inside. From the distance, a low growl echoed, not mechanical but alive. Darkman's chest tightened. That didn't sound like a drone. The android's sensors flickered. It's something else. The growl grew louder, closer, until shadows moved at the far end of the corridor. A creature emerged, tall and hunched, its body made of both flesh and machine. Wires hung from its arms, its mouth filled with sharp metal teeth. Its glowing eyes locked onto them. "This is the second part of the test," the AI announced. "Strength alone will not save you. Unity must guide your survival." The creature roared and charged. Darkman braced, but the android grabbed his arm. Not like before. Together, they moved as one, the android blasting pulses of blue light to slow the creature, while Darkman struck its legs with precise blows. The hybrid monster shrieked, but its strength was terrifying. It swiped with a massive claw, throwing Darkman against the wall. Pain shot through his chest, but he forced himself back up. "Don't stop," he shouted, gripping his rod again. The android shifted tactics, targeting the wires on the monster's body. Each blast cut through a strand, weakening it. Darkman saw the chance. He dashed forward, ducking under a claw, and jammed his rod deep into the creature's chest. The android's final pulse struck the same spot. The monster convulsed, its scream echoing through the maze before collapsing into silence. Its body dissolved into streams of light, fading as if it had never existed. Breathing hard, Darkman dropped to one knee. The android stood over him, scanning. "You're injured. I'll live," he muttered. "Was that enough?" The AI's voice returned, colder than before. "You passed the first test. But this was only the beginning. The true trials lie ahead." The walls of light collapsed, returning the hangar to its broken, ruined state. The ship's core pulsed brighter, almost alive. Darkman looked up at it, sweat dripping down his face. "What's next?" The AI did not answer. It only let the silence grow heavier, pressing down on them both. Darkman realized then, this wasn't just a test of survival. It was a test of who they were, and the deeper they went, the more dangerous it would become. They reflected the faint glow of the warship like mirrors. "Not destroyed," he whispered. "Hidden, buried here, waiting." The ship's lights flickered faintly, like it sensed their presence. A low hum rolled through the chamber, deep and heavy, like thunder under the earth. The android's voice shook. "We must leave. This ship is death. If it wakes, the galaxy will burn again." But the Darkman only stepped closer, his gaze locked on the warship. He felt the same pull as before, the invisible force binding him to this forgotten relic. He reached out, touching the smooth metal surface of the ship. The veins of light across the hull pulsed brighter, answering his touch. A mechanical voice filled the chamber, broken but strong. Unauthorized entry detected. Beginning system awakening. The android screamed in static. No, you triggered activation. We are not authorized. It will kill us. But the dark man did not move back. His eyes were steady, his voice calm. Then let it awaken. The chamber shook violently. Old chains snapped and crashed to the floor. The warship's massive engines rumbled like the growl of a beast rising from its slumber. Dust and fire rained from the ceiling as the hangar trembled. The dark man stood, tall in the storm of sound and light. The warship was no longer sleeping. Awakening the ship, the ground shook under their feet as the ancient warship stirred. The destroyed hangar groaned like a dying beast, dust raining from the broken ceiling. Sparks shot out of old machines that had been silent for centuries. The darkness inside the chamber was no longer empty, it was alive. The dark man stood motionless, his hand pressed against the glowing hull. His cloak whipped around him as waves of energy pulsed through the air. The android stumbled back, its circuits screaming warnings. System awakening. Power levels rising. This is dangerous. But the dark man's eyes did not move. His gaze was fixed on the ship as if he was staring into the soul of a sleeping monster. The glowing veins along the hull pulsed brighter, spreading like fire through the massive structure. One by one, ancient lights flickered on. The silence of the hangar was broken by a voice. It was metallic, cold, yet strangely human. System reboot initiated. Sentries offline. Intruders detected. The android froze. Its eye glowed red. It has detected us. We are marked as intruders. The dark man did not answer. He took a single step forward, his boots echoing against the trembling floor. The ship responded with another pulse of light, as though acknowledging him. The mechanical voice spoke again. Identify. Authorization required. Or face elimination. Turrets along the ship's walls suddenly unfolded. Rusted metal arms extended, still deadly despite their age. The barrels of forgotten weapons turned toward the hangar floor, locking on the two figures below. The android panicked, sparks flying from its joints. We must escape. This ship does not welcome us, it will destroy us. But the dark man raised his hand, signaling silence. He looked up at the weapons aimed at him. His voice was calm, steady, fearless. I am not your enemy. For a moment, nothing happened. The only sound was the deep rumble of the ship's awakening systems. Then, with a hiss of steam, a hologram appeared in the air before them. It was the projection of a figure, tall, armored, faceless. Its outline flickered, damaged by time. This was the ship's AI. Its hollow eyes glowed faintly as it studied the dark man. Unauthorized human form detected. The AI said, "No record found in command archives. State your purpose." The dark man pulled back his hood slightly, letting the AI see his face. His voice was low but unshaken. I seek the truth of this place. I seek what others tried to bury. The AI's head tilted, scanning him. Purpose insufficient. Only a true commander may enter control. All others must be removed. The turrets hummed louder. The android moved in front of the dark man, raising its damaged arm. Defense mode active. Warning, we cannot win against this ship. The dark man placed a hand on the android's shoulder and gently pushed it aside. His eyes remained on the AI. Then test me. If only a true commander may pass, let me prove myself. The hologram flickered, considering his words. Then its voice deepened, carrying the weight of centuries. Challenge accepted. Initiating evaluation sequence, the hangar shook violently. The lights dimmed, then blazed with a cold white glow. The floor beneath them split open, revealing shifting platforms. Dust and broken chains fell into the abyss below. The android shouted over the noise. It is creating trials. A command test! If you fail, we die. The dark man's expression did not change. Then I will not fail. The AI's voice thundered through the chamber. First trial, survival. The turrets locked again, their barrels charging with deadly light. The platforms underfoot began to move, tilting and breaking apart. The android staggered, grabbing onto a broken beam to keep balance. The dark man stood firm, his cloak whipping around him as the air filled with the hum of charging weapons. Bolts of energy fired. Explosions tore through the hangar, sending fire and debris everywhere. The android screamed warnings, dodging sparks and falling metal. But the dark man moved with unnatural calm. He stepped across the braking platforms, weaving between the beams of light with precise, almost calculated movements. One blast hit the floor beside him, throwing rubble into the air. Dust covered his cloak, but he did not stop. His eyes burned with focus. The android shouted, "Impossible! You cannot dodge them all." But the dark man leapt forward, rolling across a collapsing bridge and landing on solid ground. His hand reached out, grabbing a cable above him, swinging across a burning gap. He landed without fear, standing tall in the storm of destruction. The AI's hologram flickered, watching closely. Its voice was cold yet curious. "Survival. Acceptable. Intruder demonstrates combat awareness." The turrets powered down. The platform stopped moving. Silence fell once more, broken only by the crackle of burning metal. The dark man straightened, brushing dust from his cloak. His eyes met the hologram. "What is next?" The AI tilted its faceless head. "Second trial. Resolve." The AI's judgment. The hangar was no longer silent. It was alive with echoes of old machines, glowing lights, and the deep, steady hum of the ancient warship. The dark man stood tall in the middle of the shaking floor, his cloak heavy with dust and ash. Behind him, the android leaned against a broken pillar, sparks dripping from its chest like blood. The AI's hologram hovered above them, tall, armored, faceless. Its glowing eyes studied the dark man, scanning his every breath, his every heartbeat. "First trial complete," the AI declared, its voice echoing across the vast chamber. "You have shown skill in survival, but survival alone does not make a commander. A true commander carries more." The dark man's eyes narrowed. "Then test me again." The hologram tilted its head. For a moment there was silence, broken only by the crackle of distant fire. Then the AI's voice deepened, filled with ancient weight. "Second trial. Judgment." The floor beneath them rumbled. Panels shifted, metal scraping against metal. From the darkness, holographic figures began to rise. Soldiers, dozens of them, armed and ready, but made of pure light. Their faces were young, filled with fear and determination. They aimed their weapons at the dark man. The android's sensors whined. "Simulation detected. Combat scenario, but different. They are not enemies. They are allies." The AI's voice thundered. In the Great War, a commander faced choices. Whom to save, whom to sacrifice. Every decision carried blood. Now you will face the same. The holographic soldiers froze, waiting. Then the chamber wall shifted again, and two corridors of light opened before the dark man. On the left side, he saw a group of wounded soldiers crying out for help. On the right side, he saw heavy cannons charging, about to fire and destroy everything. The AI's cold voice filled the air. "You may save the soldiers, or stop the weapons. You cannot do both. Choose." The android staggered forward, sparks flying from its chest. "It's a trap. It wants to see if you will choose people or power." The dark man stood still, his eyes fixed on the glowing corridors. He heard the screams of the wounded soldiers, desperate and afraid. He heard the rumble of the cannons ready to bring death. His heart beat slower. His breath was steady. The android groaned, sparks falling from its chest. "It will not stop until it knows what you are." The dark man's lips curved into the faintest trace of a smile. He took a step forward, his shadow stretching toward the massive warship. "Then let it test me. I came here for what sleeps inside this ship. I will not leave empty-handed." The AI's hollow eyes glowed brighter, its voice rising like thunder. "Then prepare. The ship will see your heart. If you are false, you will not survive." The hangar lights flared, blinding white. The ancient warship roared louder, like the growl of a beast awakening fully after endless centuries. The trials had only just begun. The destroyed hangar. The night sky above the dead planet was silent. No stars moved here, no ships crossed this sector anymore. Only dust and broken metal lay scattered across the barren ground. In the middle of this forgotten wasteland stood a ruined hangar, half buried in sand and shadows. Its walls were cracked, blackened by fire long ago. A place no one visited, a place everyone had already forgotten. But tonight someone entered. A tall figure walked slowly through the dust. His cloak was torn, his face hidden under a hood. People who had met him before only knew him as the Dark Man. His steps were quiet, but they carried purpose. Behind him walked a battered android, its metal body scratched and dented, one arm sparking slightly as it dragged across the ground. The android's glowing eye flickered weakly, but it followed without question. The dark man stopped at the gates of the destroyed hangar. The doors were massive, built for war machines, but now they hung broken. One door leaned forward, ready to fall at any moment. He placed his hand on the cold surface and whispered, almost to himself, "Old battlefield. Old secrets." The android's voice crackled, broken but still clear enough. "Warning. Unstable structure detected. Collapse. Possible." But the dark man did not move back. He pushed forward. The broken doors gave way with a painful groan, metal scraping against stone. Inside, darkness swallowed them. Dust fell from the ceiling as they stepped into the silent tomb. The hangar smelled of ash and rust. Shattered glass lay everywhere. Burnt machines rested against the walls, twisted into shapes that no longer looked like ships or weapons. The android scanned the room, its eye flashing faint light across the ruins. No life signs. No energy detected, it reported. But the dark man felt something. Something heavy. Something hidden. His gaze moved across the hangar, past the broken vehicles and scattered bones of soldiers who had once fought here. His boots crunched against old helmets, symbols of an empire long dead. He felt the weight of history pressing against him. He stopped suddenly. In the far corner of the hangar, past fallen beams and cracked steel, he saw something strange. A massive sealed door stood there, different from the rest. It was untouched by fire or battle. Unlike the other walls, this one still hummed faintly with power. The edges glowed with a dim blue light, almost invisible under the dust. The dark man tilted his head. "Still alive," he whispered. The android moved closer and placed its broken hand against the door. Sparks jumped. Energy detected, very old. System damaged, but not dead. The dark man stepped forward, running his fingers along the glowing edges. Symbols were carved deep into the metal, strange letters, a language forgotten by most of the galaxy. His eyes narrowed. He had seen these markings once before in old war records whispered by dying men. This was no ordinary door. Behind it, something dangerous slept. The silence in the hangar grew heavier. The wind outside howled faintly through the broken roof, but inside every sound seemed louder. The android's gears clicked nervously. The dark man stood still, as if listening to voices only he could hear. Finally, he spoke. "Open it." The android hesitated, sparks running along its damaged arm. "System lock. Requires code. Data memory corrupted. Attempt. Risky. Do it," the dark man ordered. His voice was calm but sharp, leaving no room for refusal. The android lowered itself, wires stretching from its fingers into the small panel hidden near the door's edge. A faint hum filled the air. Lights flickered weakly, trying to wake after centuries of silence. Dust rained from the ceiling as the floor trembled slightly. The dark man watched, silent. His hood shadowed his face, but his eyes reflected the faint blue glow. Something in him seemed drawn to the door, like it was calling him. The android stuttered. "Code broken. Trying bypass." The hangar echoed with sharp beeps and static. For a moment it felt like the entire ruin was waking. Then silence again. The lights along the door dimmed back to almost nothing. The android pulled its wires back, voice weak. "Failed. System resisting. Old defense active." The dark man stepped closer, placing his palm against the cold surface. The glow under his hand grew brighter, responding to his touch. The android froze. "Unusual. Your presence. Affecting system." The dark man did not answer. His heartbeat slowed, his breath steady. For a long moment it was only him and the door, connected by some unseen force. The air thickened, then a faint sound emerged from deep behind the sealed door. A low thrum, like a sleeping giant breathing for the first time in centuries. The android stepped back quickly, its sensors flashing red. "Warning. Unknown power surge detected." The dark man's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. The hangar around them groaned as the sealed door's lights flared brighter. The air shook with the pulse of something awakening inside. Whatever lay beyond had been locked away for a reason. And now, because of him, it had begun to stir again. The dark man lowered his hood slightly, eyes fixed on the door. "This place is not empty," he said softly. and the hangar seemed to answer him with a deep echo from the shadows. The forgotten codes, the sealed door stood tall and silent, glowing faint blue under the dust. The hangar was colder now, as if the air itself waited. The dark man stepped back, his eyes never leaving the mysterious barrier. Behind him, the android's gears clicked nervously, sparks jumping from its broken joints. The dark man spoke softly, his voice steady. "This is not just a door. It is a lock. Guarding something?" The android's voice crackled with static. "Old military design. Very advanced. Requires code. Without code, door will never open." The dark man turned his head slightly, his hood hiding most of his face. "Then find the code." The android hesitated. Its damaged circuits buzzed with resistance. Memory corrupted. Only fragments remain, but I will try. It moved closer, kneeling in front of the glowing panel. Its metallic fingers extended thin wires, sliding them into the cracks between steel plates. The panel hissed as ancient systems recognized the intrusion. A faint hum filled the hangar. Lights along the door flickered alive for the first time in centuries. The dark man folded his arms and waited. His shadow stretched long across the dusty floor, reaching toward the sealed chamber. He could feel the weight of history pressing against him. Something powerful rested behind that door. Something forgotten by time. The android's eye glowed brighter as data streams flowed into its processors. Its voice became fast, broken with static. Accessing archives. Language detected. Symbols incomplete. Cross-referencing failed. Attempting bypass. A sharp spark leapt from its hand, lighting the dark hangar for a moment. The smell of burned circuits filled the air. The dark man did not flinch. "You're wasting time," he said quietly. The android froze, its metal fingers twitching. Then after a pause, it spoke again. "No, fragments. Fragments remain. I see something. A code. A sequence. Numbers and letters mixed with old war symbols. Incomplete, but enough to attempt." The dark man's eyes narrowed under the hood. "Show me." The android projected faint holographic symbols into the air. Strange characters floated between them, half broken, half clear. They shimmered with ancient energy. The dark man stepped closer, scanning them carefully. His mind worked fast. He had seen marks like these before, deep inside abandoned archives, written in blood and fire across war records. They belonged to a fleet that was said to have vanished. The Eternal Fleet. His voice was low but certain. "This is not just a door. This is a warship dock." The android's systems whirred in confusion. "Impossible. Warships of this design were all destroyed thousands of years ago." The dark man pressed his palm against the glowing panel once more. The symbols pulsed brighter, almost alive under his touch. The android's sensors beeped rapidly. "Your presence. Triggering response," it said. "It is recognizing something in you, a match. Maybe genetic, or destiny." The dark man's lips curved in the faintest trace of a smile. "Then let it recognize me." The symbols in the air rearranged themselves into a pattern. A faint voice whispered from deep inside the steel, like an echo carried through centuries. Accepted. Partial sequence matched." The android jerked back, its eye flashing red. "Warning. Unknown system activating. This is not safe." But it was too late. The sealed door shuddered. Dust falling from the ceiling as hidden mechanisms turned for the first time in ages. The floor trembled under their feet. The sound of ancient gears grinding filled the air. The dark man stood calm, watching. The blue glow along the door grew into burning white lines, tracing every edge of the steel. With a deafening groan, the massive barrier began to slide open. Cold air rushed out from the chamber beyond, carrying with it the smell of old metal and oil. The android staggered back, its voice panicked. This is not just a hangar. This is a warship bay." The dark man stepped forward, his boots echoing across the trembling floor. As the door opened wider, a shadow emerged from the darkness inside. A massive shape, sleeping in silence, chained by time. It was a warship, its hull stretched high into the chamber, scarred but unbroken. Its surface was lined with strange glowing veins, pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of a sleeping beast. Towers of metal and cannons rested dormant along its sides. Even in silence, it radiated power. The android's circuits stuttered. "This is impossible. That class of ship was banned. It is a planetary destroyer." The dark man's hood tilted back just enough to reveal his sharp eyes.